Hello, everybody.
Hey y'all.
I am hairless, as you can see. Dina cut my hair. She stood a little. I think
I'm that many seconds
she
behind. There's a
okay.
delay, so you can.
She obviously stood too close to me when she cut my hair. So this is what I call my summer cut, and I usually don't get another haircut to way inside the winter time. And then we'll see. I kind of want to let it grow out some, so we'll
Y'all, he
see.
moved when I was cutting the first thing.
Yeah, right. Anyway, she kind of got me a couple of places. So it's at least it's cool now. I mean, I don't get hot anymore. We are finishing up day
16. We're starting on day 17 in an hour.
starting in on day 17 on our juice fast. I have lost 20 pounds in the last 17 days on this juice fast, and as soon as we get over this, we're going to go into keto and see if I can drop. My goal weight is to drop down to 200 pounds. I don't know that I'll be able to make it, but that'd be quite a little jump. But it's possible. I did it before, so it'd be actually be a little bit more than what I did before, but it just about 10 pounds more than I did before. And so anyway,
And I'm glad because when I look down, I can see my toes.
I weighed almost 280 pounds when I started this, 278. I'm 258 this morning, or 255. I'm between 256, 258. It's right around that point. Um, so I'm looking forward to going on keto and being able to eat, and also dropping some more weight.
And you feel better after
we
losing that
are
weight, right?
I feel better after losing the weight.
Yeah, because you
Uh,
lost a 20-pound bag of sugar.
yeah, I know. And we enjoy going to Planet Fitness and working out a couple of days a week, doing some just minor workout, and also getting a good shower and all that stuff. But it it's working out for us. I'll be very anxious to get off this juice fast. So I'll be very honest with you about that.
Gail wants to know how we did it. Gail, we have not had a bite of food in 16 days. At dark tonight, it'll be a full 16 days since we had a single bite of food. And all we've been doing is drinking fresh fruits and vegetables that were juiced, water, a cup of coffee each during the day, and a banana and strawberry with whey powder and all that smoothie. But Tommy has noticed that he doesn't have whelps. He had been getting
Yeah, I'd been
whelps.
getting some whelps on my stomach and back and everything, and I don't know what was causing it, but obviously it was probably a food allergy. So what I'm gonna have to do is when I do start eating again, start out eat one food only. Like not allergic to eggs, but I'll eat some eggs, see if I develop any of that.
Well, you got to
Eat,
eat eggs first anyway to wake
yeah,
your
I
digestive
think
system up.
I think gluten may be the issue, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'll tell you, if you want to lose weight and you don't want to go something drastic as we did, just start keto. Even keep your carbs around 20 to 30 a day. You will lose weight, I guarantee you. I did it 50 pounds in about 8 months. Okay.
TS said she needs a good juicer, but she hates working out. TS, if you ever see me running, look and see who's chasing me because I ain't exercising.
Yeah, well, we went to Planet Fitness and did some on the crunches on the machine and did a little walking, but it's not really working out. I mean,
No.
I wouldn't say it's
When I
working
try to
out.
do squats in here, Maggie won't let me. She jumps on me.
Okay, today I wanted to cover something that's pretty near to my heart is how human trafficking, and I can't put human trafficking up there on my uh, thumbnail
Wow.
because
Wait.
they will kick me off.
Wow.
What?
Emmy said keto and intermittent fasting saved my life. 200 pounds gone. Wow.
Wow.
That is
That is
awesome. Oh my
amazing.
gosh, that is awesome.
How long did it take you?
No, 71's not too old. I'm I'm impressed, Emmy.
Wow. I mean,
That
how long did it take you to lose that? I'd be very interested to know.
Beach Bum said she dropped 1 real Coke a day and sugars and is taking tons of supplements.
3 years. That's not bad. I'm gonna tell you something. When
Whew.
people hear 3 years, they think, "Oh my God!"
No,
But
that's great.
not bad, because I'm gonna tell you,
She stuck with
for
it.
1 year, I did not have one bit of sugar. Not for 1 year. For 1 year, I never had a piece of bread. I was hardcore. I was only 20 grams carbs. That's all I did. And I lost it in about 5 or 6 months. I was down 50 pounds. Would have been down further if I'd just stuck with it.
Y'all, he went through Christmas, and y'all know how I bake.
Yeah,
He
I
went
was
through
sitting down at the
Christmas
table and she'd
without
say,
eating a
"Here," I'd
bite.
say, "Nope."
No, I didn't offer it to you.
Well, I mean, others would say, my
yeah.
brother-in-laws would give me a hard time about it, but I managed to not
Emmy's an
do
impression.
anything. Yeah, that is
You are amazing.
that is amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. That just shows that you can do it. But I've heard intermittent fasting too. We're gonna try that some anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna do that 1 day a week, I think.
Yeah.
It's not hard. When we started ours at like dark, because the Jewish fast goes from dark to dark. And so when we get up in the morning, half the day's gone. So then we just have another half to, just fill your tummy up with good old fashioned water.
Yeah, once it starts off, it just becomes life. That's true. Very true. Okay, let's get into a few things today. One is I'm going to play a little video for you. I played 2, actually. It's about, and here's how I got started on this topic tonight. And it's goes to show we don't know all the details on how it happened or how it began, but it was kind of interesting.
A teenager who disappeared while attending a Dallas Mavericks game earlier this month is safe tonight with her family.
But not before she was put through a terrifying ordeal 200 miles away from home. Fox 4's David Santandri has details on what police are calling a human trafficking case. David.
Well, Steve and Heather, the victim is 15 years old, which one expert says is the average age of underage girls who are being trafficked in the U.S. They say it can happen almost anywhere at any time, but oftentimes it begins online. 3 people in Oklahoma City now charged with human trafficking and more in connection to the disappearance of a 15-year-old girl at a Mavericks game in Dallas nearly 2 weeks ago.
The juvenile was recovered by our investigators yesterday afternoon.
The teen, who lives in North Richland Hills, went to the restroom alone and never returned to her seat. Video surveillance showed her leaving with an adult man. Dallas police believe she left voluntarily. She ended up 200 miles away.
It was believed that she was in this city.
An Oklahoma City police affidavit alleges Kenneth Levon Nelson, a registered sex offender, was prostituting the 15-year-old through online ads. Police say Nelson rented hotel rooms with someone else's ID and made ads showing the 15-year-old in, quote, various stages of undress. Police spoke with a witness who linked Nelson and the girl to a specific hotel room, a room matching where an explicit photo of her was taken. Police say 2 women were involved. They say Karen Gonzalez took the photos and Sarah Hayes admitting to being there when they were taken.
So the average age that a girl is trafficked in the United States is 15 years old.
Bianca Davis, CEO of New Friends, New Life, a nonprofit working to help sex trafficking victims in Dallas, says teen trafficking is more common than most realize.
And on any given night, 400 teen girls are trafficked on our streets of Dallas.
Any given night.
Any given night.
They say it can happen on street corners and at businesses, but online ads, like ones involving the 15-year-old, are the most popular.
We've also seen an increase in trafficking, particularly online grooming, since the pandemic. National studies have shown that online trafficking has increased 40%.
Police still haven't said whether the man the teen left with is the same person she was found with, and it's still unclear what may have happened between her leaving the game and ending up in Oklahoma City. But police say she's now with her family.
She was located safe and sound.
If you think you might know someone who is a victim of human trafficking, we have posted information over on our website to get in contact with that nonprofit. Again, our website, fox4news.com. Steve, Heather.
Now, I want to say this. and I looked today just to see if they were in operation anymore, and they are. You know, they used to be on Craigslist where you could go to it. We worked on cases with Craigslist when I was in narcotics and vice, but now Craigslist got sued, big amount of money. So now they went to a lot of other places. There's one called Backpage, and I'm not telling anybody out there that goes to these places anything new. Um, Only thing I tell you is a lot of places like this are monitored by law enforcement now. They've got maybe they're running stings out of there where they're posing as kids or posing as underage, and then they reel guys in, and they will fall hook, line, and sinker. And I'm gonna play one more video for you directly on this, but it looks like to me she was groomed online by someone, convinced her to leave, and then got absolutely. They said, and it may be in this one video, but I read where or heard it where they rented 8 or 9 motel rooms, and she would just walk from one to the other. So, you know, it can't be something she volunteered. I guess she could, but I just can't see that being volunteered for that type of a lifestyle.
She was gone missing a total of 11 days.
A 15-year-old girl went to a Mavs game with her dad on April 8th. She went to the bathroom right before halftime and never came back.
There were so many safeguards that were supposed to be in place, but didn't work.
Surveillance footage showed her leaving with a man. Zeke Fortenberry, the family's attorney, says that was her first contact with him. On April 18th, Oklahoma City police found her in a hotel room where she'd been advertised and sold.
This girl was being sexually assaulted at a hotel room on multiple nights. So any time that she could have been rescued from that sooner would have been better.
DPD confirmed a report was made to an off-duty officer working the game, but said missing juveniles are considered runaways unless they are kidnapped, and the cases have to be filed where the juvenile lives. In this case, that's North Richland Hills. That department confirmed they received the report she was missing at about 1:27 a.m., about 6 hours after the game started. She was entered into the National Missing Person database about 2 hours later. Fortenberry says the family was tired of waiting and went to a trafficking agency in Houston.
That agency was able to help them locate the photograph of their daughter online within the same day.
That agency contacted Oklahoma City police, who found her and arrested 8 people. Fortenberry says DPD should have done more.
And if it's their policy that they are not supposed to respond to these types of cases, then their policy needs to change.
The family also blames the hotel staff.
When a 40-something-year-old man walks in with a 15-year-old girl and rents multiple hotel rooms, and then there's traffic coming in and out of those rooms, those are red flags.
Last week, they sent letters to everyone they think could have stopped this.
We want them to be aware of what's coming, and we are also asking them to preserve all the evidence as it relates to this case.
In Dallas, I'm Morgan Young.
And, you know, you see this all the time. No, wait, there's 2 or 3 ways to work. And I'm going to say a lot of people don't like this, but it's absolutely that prostitution cases. They want to say sex worker cases, but the way they do is police will come in, and there's only 2 ways to prevent it. You either prevent it on the woman's side or you prevent it on the man's side. And a lot of times they will bust 2 or 3 of these girls, but offer them immunity if they will cooperate with them, and they will get all of these Johns as they come up. So in other words, you make it so risky for the John to use the back page or whatever they're going to use, they will quit doing it. Well, unfortunately, it's something that's been in existence, you know, all the way since biblical times. But, you know, a lot of states have actually made it fully legal. I know some parts of Nevada, prostitution is legal. And there are in other parts, I imagine there might be another state or 2. But in Amsterdam, for the country of Amsterdam, it's perfectly legal. It's illegal for prostitution, but we're not talking about prostitution here. We're talking about human trafficking. These people coached, groomed online this little girl, 15, took her, and then I dare say that she was not able to leave once they put her in this sex situation where they were using her basically as a slave. You know, they worked her. She had, I wouldn't be surprised they didn't drug her and then forced her to do this, you know. So I'm sure in the coming days or weeks, we may find out a little bit more about this case. If you could follow it, maybe in the court system, you may find out from any type of documents, hearing documents and stuff. But it's very, very sad. And she's very fortunate that their parents contacted this group. Now, I'll tell you what this group is. This group is a thing where they take the picture of her and they scan all the databases, like Backpage and a bunch of other databases that have these girls advertised, and they found her that way, you know. But and the missing and exploited children, that organization has got a database where they can look at all of the girls that are out there, and as many girls that comes up, young girls and whatever, on these trafficking sites where they put them up for prostitution, and then they can tell you, okay, yeah, we've had advertised, or this girl's been advertised. But the thing is, they need to take advantage of it fairly quick, because they'll move on to another city. They treat the person like it's worse than they do animals, because they are just animals to them. They are nothing but making money. They don't not talking about. They're not, they're not interested in nothing but making money. And it's sad, but at least she is safe now. I imagine she's going to have to go through a lot of psychological going to have to talk to her and try to help her get that stuff out of her head that she saw and what she went through. But just in 2 to 3 days, they said that basically she was already set up doing sex acts for money in this motel room.
Probably more than 2 or 3 days.
Oh yeah, and multiple. They said multiple times a night. So
I saw a video while you were in the other room. I saw a video of these two boys that pulled up to a red light, and they looked over, and it was a very pretty girl in the back seat. And one of the guys said to his buddy driving, he said, "Look at that girl, she is pretty." And he looked over there at her, and when both of them looked at her, the guy in the front seat was looking at them. They was watching her, and she said, "Help me."
Oh,
and so,
wow.
Yeah. And so the car took off, and they kept going. The guy kept saying, "We got to call 911 because she said, 'Help me.'" So they called it in, and they followed them until the police got there. They got him. She came running back to those two boys and hugging them and telling them thank you. They saved her life.
Wow. Where was that at, do you know?
I don't know. I didn't catch the whole thing, and it was too quick.
Okay, these also are traffickers that exploit youth for the purposes of commercial sex or forced labor, recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting. These are just some things and some that they do. Obtaining or maintaining minor for purposes for commercial sexual exploitation, exploiting a minor through prostitution, through exploiting a minor through survival, sex, exchanging sex and sex acts for money, something of value, such as shelter, food, drugs, exposing the minor to sex tourism, and it goes down: bondage, labor, debt, forced child labor. A lot of times they should hope that it's just a labor thing and not a sexual thing, because when they talked about whenever the Super Bowl comes to a certain city, they said the brothels, the prostitution, everything goes sky high, because business just booms in that area. Physically, and this some of the things: physically restricting the victims, restricting their freedom, movement, keeping victims under lock and key, constant surveillance, using debt, bondage, financial obligations, victim they honor are bound to satisfy their debt. And I'll get back to this. We saw these foreign workers that were used, in my opinion, they were trafficked to do labor. And we would see these hotel rooms, not necessarily hotel rooms, but apartments that had padlocks on the outside of the door, and have like a regular 12 room would have 4 bunks in it. It's just really how and I have actually seen that. Kept their passports, stuff like that, visas, identification documents, confiscate them, and that is a big, big, big crime if you keep someone's passport or make them give up their passport.
Hey, TS said that she's shocked, interested in this. Do y'all? Hey, Teresa, hope your doctor's appointment came out good. Teresa, not Teresa, TS, did you ever see the Dateline where they followed a doctor over to Thailand, I think it was?
Yeah.
And they followed him into a brothel where the children were ages 1 to 5. And he was there for one reason and one reason only.
Yeah, to have sex with those little kids.
They had been groomed to know how.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that made me so sick.
These
I wanted to kill him.
unexplained absences, frequently runs away from home, makes reference to frequent travel or other cities and towns, exhibits bruises and other signs that they've had physical trauma, withdrawn behavior, depression, anxiety, or fear, lacks control over her or her schedule or her or his schedule, and or their documentation for travel documents, is hungry, malnourished, inappropriately dressed based on weather conditions, and shows signs of drug addiction, and his has coached or rehearsed responses to questions. And if you the thing I said with this girl, I wouldn't doubt very seriously if they hadn't shot her with heroin or shot her up with something that was going to allow them to control her. And I've heard, I don't know, but I've heard from addicts told me 1 or 2 times. That's all it took. Fully addicted.
Okay.
1 or 2 times.
I had a professor in college that told me, no, it was in high school, a teacher in high school, because it was that was the years that drugs were so prevalent and everything, that if you do drugs one time, cocaine or something strong like that, the natural high that you get from God will be snuffed out. And you won't be able to get that natural high. I get a natural high from the clouds or the flowers.
The way drugs are, and this simple is, you get a big, big high the first few times you take it. But every time, and you ask every addict you see, and they just said, I'm trying to get that high like I had the first time. Because it goes up high, next time it doesn't quite go as high, and then pretty soon you just having to take drugs to feel normal.
Okay, Teresa's having surgery in 2 weeks. We'll be praying for you.
Okay, additional signs they may indicate they is sex trafficking. Demonstrates a sudden change in attire, behavior, relationships, material possessions. Might have some expensive stuff that maybe was given to them. Is uncharacteristic, promiscuous, or makes reference to sexual situations, terminology that is beyond their age, and the Pacific norm. If your kid's talking about sex in a big time way, you might get them out and just talk to them. Let's see, what is it? Has a boyfriend or girlfriend who is noticeably older. Attempts to conceal recent scars and shows a sudden change in attention to personal hygiene. And then signs that human trafficking that you may observe while traveling. I think it's a pretty big thing is if they have a travel companion that stays that right there with them, furnishes the tickets, every movement, and avoids eye contact with you. These are just two there. They avoid eye contact. And this is something that I read concerning the Ukraine here. Dana, can you read that? I don't know if my eyes are going to do it.
Where do I need to go to?
Start at the top here.
Okay. The young Ukrainian men and women, many of them out of work with few prospects, were promised good paying jobs in the United States, but instead of living in the American dream, they were thrust into a nightmare, violence, threats, and forced servitude. For years, 5 brothers who ran a human trafficking organization victimized dozens of unwitting Ukrainians, underscoring the reality of modern day slavery exists in the United States and around the world, requires a strong response by governments and law enforcement. In recognition to the fact and to speak to the victims, January has been declared National Slavery Human Trafficking Prevention Month by the U.S. government. Human trafficking now takes many forms, from forced servitude to sexual exploitation of children, and the FBI is fighting these crimes on every front. Something I can't pronounce their name. Those brothers created many victims. Based on the trial transcript and other public records, approximately 2000 to 2007, the Ukrainians recruited their young countrymen they were their own countrymen, great,
right,
to work in the U.S. in their business, clearing large retail stores at night. They promised good jobs, usual salaries of $500 a month. The victims were told the room and board would be provided, and as well as all travel expenses. They were also told they could earn $10,000 after 2 to 3 years of working. Many of those who signed up for these jobs were uneducated and desperate for work. They believed it would be much better deal than what they had in Ukraine. Special Agent Ned Conway, who has been investigating the case out of the Philadelphia division for nearly a decade. Instead of entering the U.S. legally, many of the victims were smuggled through Mexico and ended up working 10 to 12 hours, 7 days a week. They lived up to 5 people in one room and slept on dirty mattresses and floor, and most were never compensated. On the contrary, they were told that
we were talking about this a couple of nights ago, that this one, and they do it all up and down the coast of Florida and all up and down anywhere there's souvenir type stores. That's where I stopped in Mississippi at a souvenir shop when I was working these cases, just to see if the same people were in there, and they were. They're Russian. They barely speak English. They're working this same situation, and what they'll do is they'll take their passports away from them. They'll say they make $10 an hour. They get to pay their company $2 an hour, and then when they go to sleep in the apartment, they'll pay for their room and board $1,500 a month each. Well, there'd be like 20 of them in that same apartment, so you see their profit on both ends. They had this one group that we worked had 450 people working for them, making $2 an hour off of them. That's $900 an hour plus what they get in their apartment rents. So, and there was high-end prostitution in town, $1,000 an hour We tried to infiltrate that, but never could get anybody undercover in there.
But I cleaned out a condo on the beach that had deadbolts on all 3 bedrooms upstairs and the bedroom downstairs. And when we got the deadbolts off and went in, there was 2 sets of sleeping 3 to a bed. 3 high of
Bunk beds.
bunk beds in there. There was 6 people in each room, and inside the closet, when we opened it up, it was full of costumes for girls to wear. So I have no idea what those girls were going through.
No. And it says below are some of the Bureau's anti-human trafficking efforts and accomplishments in the last fiscal year. It said the VICAP, which is the Violent Crimes Against Children, VICAP section leads 71 child exploitation task forces across the country and partners with 400 local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. The FBI opened more than 500 child sex trafficking cases, investigations, and convicted out of 500, because normally you don't get 100% convictions. But it talks about that the child, I mean, I'm telling you, this is probably the worst thing you could get involved in is some type of child exploitation, that's for sure.
But you know, the thing is, this is making them more money than drugs are.
Yeah. Said ICE bust significant sex trafficking ring operating out of Florida to North Carolina. Operation Dark Night resulted in 13 criminal arrests, 44 administrative arrests, and as many as 11 victims rescued. And if this can do just a small amount right there, you imagine how many more. This says Savannah, Georgia. 1 second here. Savannah, Georgia. Today, U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, announced results of a lengthy investigation called Operation Dark Night into the sex trafficking ring operating in Florida, Georgia, and in the Carolinas. The investigation, which was led by ICE Homeland Security, led a takedown yesterday, which authorities made 13 arrests, 44 administrative arrests. And administrative, I believe, is like arrest citations, where it wasn't enough to put them in jail, but they were able to going to get them in court. As a result, they rescued 11 victims. And I know you say, well, that's not very many, but one is, if you rescue one, in this case, it's you're really something to celebrate. She ain't no telling how many cases also they'll close out from this case. ICE investigates a wide variety of crimes, trafficking of women and girls. Prostitution is among their the most sinister, when it's prostitution of the girls for prostitution. Few crimes so damage their victims, undermine basic human decency. Our fight against evil must be relentless and here and abroad. So they work, actually, both of them. Have is amounts of slavery in the year, and this was back in 2013. I thought this was newer. I apologize. But you know, he said human trafficking is a cancer facing our society, and taking a stand to stop victimization of women involved in sex trafficking. And you got to remember, these are if it happened back in 13, you imagine it's still going strong. You know, and it says here, forced to commit acts of prostitution, numerous locations in Savannah, throughout the Southeast. And one such case identified in the indictment is this Merzin Hernandez, alleged that he told a Mexican woman that she would be sent back to her home country unless she serviced 25 clients a day.
Good.
That, and I'm going to tell you, probably with a young girl, it's going to be a whole lot more than that. Whole lot more than 25 for sure.
If y'all have never read the book, it's by David Baldacci, and I think it's called Unforgotten.
I don't know. There's so many of his.
But I mean, this was one about the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I don't think it's Unforgotten. I don't
Let me
remember
look
which
it up
one
real
it
quick.
was.
I'll look it up, make sure.
And I hate to put this up here, and I'm not being political, but when you have the Senate report links, now this is a Senate that is Democratic, links Hunter Biden to prostitution or human trafficking ring. If the president's son's involved in it, whether he is or not, that ought to be something for the president to really come down hard on these organizations and try to find out, because you don't think that they could get something to have it over his head against him, they would try to influence the government at his highest office. That's what I have, and that's why.
Well, you've got on any given day, they said there's 12 brothels of the White House. So if you've got 12 brothels within a mile of the White House, it ain't just the president's son.
Oh, I know, but if you can hold the president's son something over his head, then they could have inroads with the White House itself. That's all I'm saying. 8 arrests in Tennessee. This was trafficking sting. Allegedly sought sex acts with minors. These guys went out to hunt down actual having sex with minors. 2-day undercover, just 2 days. Human trafficking sting in Tennessee. Arrested 8 men just in 2 days. And that, you can see the men right there. Probably, I believe you ought to put the picture in the paper, because it may be a way to keep them from doing it. They know all their friends and family will see it. But, these are not real old guys. 28, 29, 44, 33, 45, 66, 30. I mean, I would have thought it might be older, and we talked about grooming, okay? Indiana woman whose pastor had sex with her at least at 16 described years of grooming, finally opening up to her family. Years of grooming. And you got somebody in a powerful situation that holds your, supposed to hold your, what you say, in confidence. I did not read all of this, so I'm going to read it with you. Exclusive Indiana native Bobby Jeppart ascended to the stage of the Warsaw Church, which she had dedicated decades of her life, including her formative years, donning a t-shirt and ripped pants. The North Manchester resident is the first to admit that the attire was not what she usually considered church appropriate, but she never planned on being there that day in the first place. Said, I had family members texting me saying, you need to get to church. You need to get to church. You should be there. They need to hear your story. She recalled on Fox Digital. I was not ready for church. Her husband, Nate, has planned on confronting the New Life Christian Church and World Outreach and beloved pastor John B. Lowell II himself about how the longtime clergyman had sex with Bobby when she was only 16 years old. I'll tell you, pastors having this type of thing,
Well, we've had several youth pastors from our churches
okay,
in the past.
read that for me, please.
Instead, the Sunday, May 22nd, the day Bobby revealed the truth with Nate by her side. What I wanted was freedom, she said during a Zoom call, and for my husband to know my heart, and for my people, and for the people not to be lied to anymore. We look upon ourselves and we went right away to the stage without anybody's permission and took the mic, she recalled. Everything I knew was that church. Everything I knew was that church. My whole life was, and okay, everything I knew was that church, and my whole life was that church. I went to school at that church. Just moments before Gephardt confronted the crowd about what had happened when she was a teenager, Lowell offered his own version of events. I committed adultery. It continued far too long, he said. It was involved with one person. There was never any other situation unbecoming conduct in the last 20 years.
It said, I will not use the Bible to defend, protect, or deflect my past sin. I have no defense. And, he's trying to get out ahead of it because he is going to tell he was basically a pedophile. Says here, if you love us, please let us talk, Nate said. Bobby then begins. For 27 years, I lived in a prison. It was not 20 years. It was not 20 years. I've lived in a prison of lies and shame, lying to protect the Lowell family for years. I thought I was a horrible person, having suicidal thoughts, not realizing what had been truly done to me. Was a victim. And she is a victim at that age. She really doesn't understand her what is going to happen at that age. Even though a lot of people think that you're very mature at that age, you're really, really not. Gephardt tells the audience she would still be in prison if her brother had not confronted her earlier that month about what he had seen as a teenager that bothered him all these years.
Wow.
His pastor in bed with his younger sister.
Oh, he saw her?
T-shirt. Yep, a T-shirt and underwear on, she says, according to the video.
Roy said, they target kids that may have low self-esteem or know things at home aren't that great. You are right.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
That's exactly right.
Says, I was 16 when you took my virginity on your office floor. Do you remember that? She asked. You did things to my teenage body that has never and should have been done. That body that have never and should have been done. I can't.
Never or should never have been done.
Okay.
But if you can't admit the truth, you have to answer to God. You are not the victim here.
It says Nate takes the microphone shortly thereafter and tells the crowd an events between Lowell and Bobby lasted until she met me and we started dating. This is the pastor, Pastor John B. Lowell, stepped down as pastor of the church after admitting is committed to having sex with a woman when she was a teenager. Or at least he said that. My wife is not just. It said my wife. It's not just adultery. It's another level when it's a teenager, and I will not let this man talk about my wife that way. So it happened 9 years for 9 years, and she was 15. Imagine that, 9 years of something going on, you know?
But now couldn't he still be charged?
Yes, under some laws he can. I don't know. But her being 16, if it started at 15, yes. In Alabama, it has to be greater than 2 years.
Right.
And it has to be forcible, though, once you reach 16.
I thought
I don't think so. I'll look it up. I remember they changed
that can't
some
be
of
more
that,
than 2 years difference in age.
their age. But they have to be under the age of 12 for it to be a certain thing. I'll need to look that up. My wife is not just, it says it's not just adultery here. Let's see, 16, she was 16 years old. In response to the unintelligible question from the audience, he responds, "It's not all true." I don't know what was the question. It's been 20 years, I know, and I guess it doesn't count for anything. You know, thing is, I need to look and see what statute is, and especially in the state he's in. Let's see here.
What state is he in now? She is beautiful.
That's where their husband now. All I ever wanted was for him to know me because I lied to him. He thought I was a virgin when we got married, she said, seated alongside Nate during the interview. And so this whole time, he had no clue that even the man he's looking up to.
So they must have been still going to church
horrendous
there, and
things
he was
to
looking
me.
up to the preacher.
Yeah, this was before that they came out. And it's easy for people to do that, to be fooled, Okay, let's see here. Go ahead and read this, Dana, if you don't mind. My reading today's off.
T.S. said she did this till she was 25. At some point, she knew better. Gephardt, who is now 43, said her family was so intermingled with the Lowells at a young age. Not only did Gephardt's mother work as a nanny for the Lowell family, but Bobby and her brother even lived with the family for a short time, she said. They were like family to us, she said. And that's what was the hardest part. Hard for people to realize that we were there all the time, heavily involved in our church, and the whole time stuffing those secrets inside of me. She described how she was kept as a prisoner without bars in his life and was not free from Lowell's grasp and her husband. Everything I knew was that church. When she spent a year attending Bible school in Texas, Gephardt said he would continue to communicate, even come down and make visits. Gephardt would not speak to how the relation with Lowell initially began, but said they began that way of a lot of grooming starts.
Yeah, and I'm sure him being a pastor, she looked up to him. She thought everything he was doing was okay because he was a pastor,
Well, and she was groomed, and with her parents, with the families being intermingled like that, it would be hard for her. I mean, think about it. That's not something you want to come out and tell anybody.
No. She said shoulder massages, lap sits, long hugs, things like that in nature that would get longer and deeper, she said. In one incident, he allegedly laid his head in Gephardt's lap while they were sitting on the couch, though she would not go into further detail.
There it is.
Here
The
it is.
legal age of consent is 16.
Right, 16 in that state. Gephardt told the Fox Digital News the sexual aspect of their relationship began when she was 16. But molestation happened prior to that, so they might be able to get him for that molestation. She said that she did not currently have plans to take legal action, considering the legal age of consent and the existence of the statute of limitations. Asked about the explanation for the future, Gephardt said that she and Nate sit tight and will take care of our family and make sure we're healthy. And you know, a lot of times in a lot of states, it does not matter if it doesn't matter the age. If she's 16, if he had a position of authority, if he was a minister, a police officer, a doctor, a psychologist, somebody that had some position of authority over them, maybe a school, a worker in a library worker, anything that they could show had a position of authority over them. And then it says, lastly, Gephardt had not spoken to Lowell since she came forward, but one family member reached out and had been very kind. Speaking about Lowell, she said she hopes his heart changes. When asked if she had any messages for the people who might be in similar situations, she said she hopes they will speak up no matter what. I saw something in a reporter.
That was a
car. Okay. Okay. Well, we're also sitting here waiting for something to be delivered by FedEx. Yeah, if you I would encourage somebody, anybody, if they're out here and they're involved in any type of relationship with someone's older than them, especially a sexual relationship, that they should seek out somebody and talk to somebody, whether you talk to your priest, your pastor, your school principal, school teachers. Tell somebody about it.
And T.S., you said women aren't idiots. We usually know right from wrong, especially in our 20s. That's true, but we don't know how long since they were family members together for so long. We don't know when the grooming started. We don't know how intense it was. We know nothing about that. And it's easy to sit back and go, well, I would just gone and confronted him, years ago or whatever. She's 43 now. But I can tell you from experience that sometimes the time for confronting is in God's timing and not yours. And so, it's easy to sit back and think, I'd just go after him. But then when it's you wait. You wait on God's timing.
Yeah. That type of thing where if it depends, them going at it, it's been going on for so long. Looks like it might have came out beforehand at a doctor or best friend. It sounded like she was pretty much a loner.
Yeah. Well, no, because I had plenty of friends and I never told anyone.
Not even any of your best friends?
Nope, never told a single friend. Not one. Sure did.
Also, we want to still remember Michael Vaughn is still missing. They are still hoping somebody has on a camera seeing Michael or getting into this white car. I read somewhere where they think they know who the car belongs to. They're just trying to piece it together from there. Summer Wells, as far as I know, has not been found, and no updates on that.
There is a good book if you have children or grandchildren, great grandchildren. There is a great book called No More Secrets for Me. And I got that book and I read it to our children when they were young. And I did everything in my power to protect my children from being sexually abused.
And we're not talking about immediate family, but you know, there's the. I would tell you this, and this is just how we are now. What we believe. I would not let a minor child go spend the night with anybody, any friends, any church friends, any friends at all, until they're up at 15 or 16 years old. I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it even then. I personally,
if they're real close friends with them, that's maybe different. You wouldn't mind maybe say Debbie's or something, you know, her kids and all that. That wouldn't bother me. But we, you know, I just
don't know
think
what
you
goes
don't
on
know
behind
what goes
closed
right.
doors.
And I would say this too. Be sure you tell your kids they can tell you anything and you'll never hate them for it. You know, you have our you know, we'd never kick you out, we'd never hate you,
because the
and we
groomer's
never
telling them.
stop loving you no matter what you tell us you did, no matter what you did.
The groomer's telling
Yeah, they
them.
tell them that they get them away they get them involved in something, drugs, prostitution, and then they say, you can't go home, you can't tell your parents because they'll be ashamed of you.
Let's go younger than that. You tell a child, if you tell your mommy and daddy about this, I'm going to come back and I'm going to kill them and you can't stop me. I mean, you know, tell that to a child. You need to talk to your children and tell them especially if you notice a change in their behavior, if there's an obvious change or even a subtle change in their behavior, get them around the kitchen, you know, cook cookies or something and get them talking, and you know, just
it might be just bullying in school.
Yes.
They're getting really bullied in school, and you may need to take some action in that way. And don't be afraid. And I'm gonna tell you something. Do not be afraid to stand up to your principal or assistant principal's face and tell them exactly what you want and expect out of them.
I was in Spain. I was always the one that went to the school for the kids before I homeschooled them and all. But anyway, and so I was always the one there. And then I went to Spain on a mission trip for 10 days. And while I'm gone, he has to go to
I have to deal with the principal that was
for a
first grader that telling me what he was going to do to my son and what he wasn't going to do as far as punishment. And
it was because Dakota had kissed a little girl's hair.
Yeah, he was going to get suspended for
sexual harassment
and also get him spanking with a big old paddle. And I told him, nope, not without me being there. Not going to do it. He said, I don't need your permission. And
but he whipped Dakota in front of you.
Yeah, I let him spank him one hit, but after that I told him you'll never touch him again because he did it angry. He was angry. But I told him he told me that he didn't even have permission. I'm not going to get into what I told him, but he understood if he did that if I come back to that school, you know.
Let's put it this way. Tommy went straight to the chief and said, Chief, you're probably going to get a complaint on me.
Yeah, I told him
this is what I said. This is what I did.
It's easier to ask forgiveness than it is permission in this case. But I told him, I said, if he spanks my child and I'm not there, somebody else is going to get a spanking. I'm just going to tell you, it's the way it is. And I just took it to heart that, you know, he shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have. I mean, when he spanked a child, he was angry when he did it. He wasn't doing it.
He was angry at you.
Discipline. He was angry at me, but
he was angry at Tommy, and he took it
Okay, well, we've covered a lot here tonight, and it's about our hour's up. We had a pretty good bit of people here too. I'm showing 168. We do appreciate you coming tonight. We'd appreciate it also if you go over to our other channel. This is our RV channel. We travel full time in an RV. If you didn't know, our channel is a 1 million mile road trip. And if you go over there and subscribe, we sure would appreciate it. And since I asked last time, I said I would tell you how many subscribers we had. About 4 subscribers. So every little bit helps. And appreciate you subscribe to this channel. Give us a like, thumbs up. They would really appreciate it.
Teresa, that's a great thing. She said her ex-husband is still a police officer in Indiana, and she worked in surgery. They had an open door policy in their home. Always welcome. That's the way we
Yeah,
were.
absolutely. You know, we may not like what we hear, but it's never going to change the way we feel about our kids. We'll love them.
Well, even
and
other
everything.
people's kids. You know, I
Yeah,
would tell them,
yeah.
unless they told me something that was going to possibly endanger them, they just wanted to talk, then that I would not tell their parents. But I had a 12-year-old come and tell me that she was meeting a boy 21 years old, and she got furious when I told her parents when they picked her up.
And I said, that
But you
ain't
know
going to
what?
happen.
Her parents said, "Oh, there's nothing between them. It's okay."
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all have a great night. We love y'all.
Thank y'all for
and
joining
thank
us.
you for joining us. And we hope to see you next week, if not before, on our
And
other
we'll be
channel.
eating next week.
God bless y'all. Good night.
Bye.